Hello, and welcome to how to get great guitar tones out of MainStage. This video will concentrate on a single channel rock guitar sound. I've just opened up a concert file, and in it you're going to see my particular template, which is a modification of the original guitar template that comes with MainStage. I've also added in some buttons that relate to a special pedal that I've created called Hive. I've kept the tuner button, I've kept the tap tempo button, I've kept the master volume out button. I've even added a second expression pedal for additional things that can happen in my guitar sounds. I'm going to start with creating a guitar patch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new patch. From there, I'm going to insert a new channel strip for audio. It's going to be a mono channel strip, input 1, which is coming out of my guitar and into the audio interface. Currently set to output 1.2, but that will change in just a moment. I've created the audio input, and now you can hear that I've got some guitar sound. At this point, I'm going to actually route the output to patch bus and create patch bus number 1. The reason for this is that as I was learning to set up bigger sounds that involved more amplifiers, it was better if I used the patch bus system rather than a straight up patch and audio system, because it makes it easier when doing large arrangements of amplifiers and things that we will get to further down the road. Part of this is a result of how the tuner function works in MainStage. On patch bus 1, I'm going to insert a MainStage pedal board. I'm going to leave it empty for now. From there, I'm going to add the Studio Devil virtual guitar amp. Inside this amp, right now it's set to a British Crunch Type 1, which is a Class A style amp. And it sounds like this right off the bat. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn off this cabinet matching that it has. And I'm going to insert a Redwirez MixIR plugin. This particular plugin by Redwirez allows me to choose different kinds of cabinets with different kinds of microphones to put underneath the amp head, just like you'd do with a regular hardware amp. For this particular example, I'm going to go with a matchless G12 H30. I'm going to start with a Royer 121 microphone. I'm going to put it on the cap about 5 inches out. Now I'm going to add a second microphone. We'll add a Shure SM57. We'll put it on the cone about 3 inches out. And the sound changes like this. At this point, I've got a little bit of reverb on the plug-in, so I'm going to turn that off, and now the amp will sound like this. Very, very dry. In the MixIR plugin, I can now go in and choose some ambience, and we'll choose it from a Marshall 1960A. And we'll take a KM84, and we'll put the room left, and right now it's in mono, so we'll hear this. You can hear that room sitting straight up. If I move this over to the left, you can hear that it's now on the left-hand side. And if I go into the next block, I can take the room right sound, throw it there. Now we have this when I turn it on. So I've got the left and the center for where the right should be. I'm going to move it to the right. And you can now hear that the guitar has a full left and right sound. However, that's a little too much room for my taste right now, so I'm going to dial it back to about half that on the left and on the right. And we now have this. Very crispy, crunchy sound. Class A amps are very cool. They're very old school. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this over to a Type 2. And now we've got a Class AB. Much fuller sounding, really awesome for a modern type of crunch or a more modern type of crunch. You'll notice that my volume output at the moment is really kind of pegging only at about minus 5.1. And the reason why I want to keep this low is because as I start adding in additional sounds, it could very well overpower the output bus, and we don't want that to happen. Now I'm going to go back to the pedal board, and I'm going to add a compressor on the front end because a lot of people tend to do this to smooth out their playing. And you can hear that I've got a very full sounding guitar sound, like a real hardware amp. If I roll off the volume on the guitar, you'll hear that this amplifier has cleaned up considerably. And if I roll up the volume, it gets a nice girthy, throttly, crunchy kind of sound. Now I'm going to change the EQ just a little bit. Gives it a little bit more meat in that direction. Normally I could use some effects pedals here inside, whether I throw on some additional crunch for a lead sound, or if I want to have some chorus or delays or roto vibes or even wah pedals, they could all go in right here. But for right now, for this purpose, I'm actually going to throw some sounds via patch buses. So I'm going to insert another patch bus, and on this patch bus I'm going to throw in some reverb. That's a really big reverb, nice and full and rich. Let's dial it back just a little bit. A little too much. That's got a nice flavor to it. I'm going to add another patch bus. And on this patch bus, I'm going to throw down a little bit of delay. I'm going to use a stereo delay. And we're going to set it up such that the right side's going to be a little bit behind the beat to give it a little bit of spatial value. I'm going to take out a bit of low and a little bit of high, clean up the muddiness of the sound as it repeats. And I'm going to dial it back till we hear only about 2 delays in the mix. And let's bring the volume up on it a little bit. And there we have a nice parallel delay going along with our reverb. I'm going to add one more, and right here we're going to have some chorus. I'll stick with the standard chorus that just comes up as factory default for now. And you can hear that it's thickened out the sound a little bit. And if I shift over here just a little bit, we'll see that the output for all of these is not cooking the output of the overall amp. As an example of the sound, I'm going to play a little bit from a song called Days of Our Lives. As you can hear, the guitar sound started with a cleaner sound as I rolled the volume back off of the guitar, and then as I rolled into the chorus, I dialed the volume up on the guitar, and it got much more grittier. And that's how you can achieve a great rock guitar tone out of MainStage. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to create a multi-amp setup to emulate the type of sounds you'd hear from your favorite stadium-style guitar players.